Mike Williams has been racing in Oklahoma City for about the past 20 years now. Today on Mean Streets, me and Wayne Varley is going to go to his house, show y'all his car, do a little sit-down chit-chat, and let him and Wayne kind of reminisce on his old times and see what he's got going on in the future. Hi, I'm Brent Poole. Today we're sitting here with Wayne Varley and Mike Williams, going to talk about his racing and how long he's been on the streets and let them kind of talk some about where they came from and where they're going.
Okay, Mike, I've known you for a long time, brother. It's been a long time. We used to race back in the day when we were a lot younger. Of course, I really aged and you didn't. But
yeah.
It's all, you know. Yeah. So would you tell us a little bit about the car you used to race back in the day with me?
Yeah, I've had some cars like through high school and stuff like that. My very first car was a 1967 SS Camaro 327, had a 4-speed in it. I just kind of gradually progressed, and then in the late 80s, early 90s, I bought this 71 Chevelle here, and big block car, and just kind of through the years just kind of made it faster. Started out with a 468 wrap motor in it. Then I just kind of ended up just putting nitrous on it, and then just kind of progressing up, you know, making it faster and faster, you know, as they, you know, with technology nowadays, you know, I mean, it's still kind of old school considered, you know.
Right.
I know, but
And that's how we like them.
right, you know, I mean, but it's still a great street car. It's a 540 cubic inch big block. It's only 9-to-1, so it's a good pump gas motor. You know,
Right.
it's around 800. It's around 800 straight motor. It dynoed 778 on pump gas, and
That's pretty impressive.
from
Yeah.
Folks Machine Shop had built this motor, and but with the timing up and with race fuel in it, it'll actually dyno a little over 800. It's got a 2-stage plate system on it, which I still kind of run it old school. You know, most people
Right.
run progressive stuff nowadays. I'm still a button type guy.
Yeah.
I don't run anything off a fully throttle activated switch.
Right.
I'm more of a button guy. That way, if it does blow the tires off, you know, the second I get back into it, I can get it to hook and then snatch it again instead
Right.
of mashing it and then it coming on again, which
Right.
I guess it could work both ways. I mean, if the car hooks good, yeah, it's probably going to 60 foot harder, you know,
Right.
with the fully throttle activated switch. But I guess it's just whatever you're used to,
Right.
you know.
That's how we used to do it back
Yep.
in the day. We had a button.
And I remember back in the 39th days when we used to meet out there, it was always the South Side guys against the North Side
Yeah.
guys.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, most of the time we did our own racing on the South Side. You know, we were pretty much at 74th and Rockwell or 44th and Airport Road, or
Right.
you know, down there off the
12.
Service Road, and then you know, down there in the flats of Western, down there by Norman.
I remember that.
You know, but every once in a while we'd all kind of gather up and go over and meet y'all guys at the old Pratt's
Right.
right there off 39th and
Arby's.
Yep, that's
Arby's
it.
back,
Yep.
and then we go to
We'd
Reno
meet
Morgan.
y'all there in that parking lot, and then
Talk a bunch of shit.
yeah, and then we'd go somewhere. You know, we'd go to Reno and Morgan.
Yeah.
Bloom Electric.
Yep, yeah, or we'd go to Sarah and Reno. Remember,
Yeah.
raced out there a lot.
Right.
We did a lot of different types of racing at a little bit further down on MacArthur.
Yeah.
You know, down there on MacArthur, we raced down there which is actually a Walmart now.
No shit.
Yeah, and I remember that
Walmart.
used to be all field out there. Remember
Yeah.
that? We used to park behind that business section and go out there and race out there.
With the GM plant.
The GM plant was another place. I raced out there a couple of times
Right.
when I went to
Yeah.
Air
GM plant.
Depot.
Yeah.
GM plant.
And but it was a lot of fun back then. Racing has changed so much nowadays. Man, these cars have gotten so.
Yeah,
man, they're
it's
just,
ridiculous.
It is. They've gotten so fast that, you know, I mean, it's just a money deal. But they've gotten so fast now to where
Well,
you know.
You know, I took off for a while. I just quit racing. When I brought the gold car back out, she had a 6AL and a Blaster 2 coil on her.
Right.
So that's
some old school
that's some
stuff.
old school shit right there. You couldn't sell that shit right now.
I know, that's for sure.
So
Now this car, you're staying true to street. It's still a full body car.
Yes, sir.
Weighs over 3,800 pounds. Stock suspension.
Right.
You can get in this car and drive it anywhere.
Yes, I can. Yep. Like I say, it's a pump gas motor. The stall converter in it's a custom built Hughes. It's kind of a nitrous converter. It's pretty tight. It's
What
got
heads
4
do you
living
have?
gears. This has got dart heads on it, the 345 cc dart heads.
good head.
They're not hogged out to the max, but they've got a little bit of cleaning done on them. You know, they're
Right.
like I say, they flow really well. You know.
Now, one thing you talk about the nitrous, and I noticed when we were talking about your car about nitrous, y'all are talking about the progressive system. For our viewers at home that don't know nothing about nitrous, you know, that's kind
kind of wondering, what is exactly a progressive system and how does that work?
Progressive systems are they're different. They don't, like I say, you can set them at a bunch of like different percentages. Like if you set up a progressive system, and let's say you have a 300 shot of nitrous on a plate system, and if you want to set it at like 20%, well then it's going to come on not at 300. When you snatch that button, it's going to come on at like 20% of 300 horsepower.
Right.
And then actually, then you put in the dials of times on how fast you want it to ramp up to 100%.
So it's basically a timer.
Pretty much. It basically, but it ramps up the nitrous as it's coming in.
So 20% on 300, you'd come in with 60.
Right.
And you try, you really need to have everything in within 2 seconds. You
Right.
don't want it to go 4 or 5 seconds. It's not going to do you any good.
Right.
So you're going to want to make sure you're going to bite hard, and then all it does is let the chassis have an attempt to bite, and you can delay it coming in too. Like you can hit the gas, delay it a tenth, and then it comes in at 20% or whatever, and just ramp it up into 100.
Right.
The problem with some of them, if you get out of it and you get back in it, it goes right back to where it left off or full. And so,
Exactly.
you're.
So then you pretty much went from 300 horsepower back to 60.
Yeah.
Just by letting off of it,
So it's mainly just for a traction device.
Right, pretty much. It lets you leave soft and then come on hard, when you come out.
Which a lot of times you need that for the streets, because
Right.
you never know.
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know.
That's like me, I come out on the streets, I have to, this car leaves hard enough, if I get it to leave on the trans brake on the street, it leaves hard enough to where if I can just get out of the hole and then hit the nitrous, it'll stick pretty hard. But if I try to just leave off the trans brake and then mash it, it wants to get pretty crazy. It wants to kind of
trying
go
to
hard,
skate.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've changed the shocks and I put some double adjustable shocks and everything on it to try to get them dialed in. And once I get them dialed in, I think it'll be a different car even on the street once I get them dialed in. It's just
Right.
trying to get the clicks and the settings right on them shocks. It's pretty tough. It's tight time at the track.
So what training you got in it?
It's got a turbo 400 reverse manual valve body with a Pro Tree trans brake.
Okay, is that what you ran back in the day?
Well, I had a turbo 400 back in it. It's always had a turbo 400 in it, but it did have a trans brake in it, but it wasn't a Pro Tree. And I think the stall converter that I had in it was I think it was a TCI back in the day, and they were pretty good.
Yeah, I've run them.
And then it's still got a 12 bolt.
Okay.
I know you say it's stock suspension. What kind of pieces on there do you have for adjustability?
It's got a QA1 shocks that are double adjustable underneath there, and it's got upper and lower tubular control arms, the adjustable ones, and the springs on the back are actually they're a 2-inch drop spring, and they're actually Beltec. And other than that, it's pretty much stock back there. I mean, everything's pretty much in stock location.
That sounds like Wayne's rear end on his Mustang. It's all QA1 and same kind of setup.
Street car.
Street car.
Love it.
And I got slapper bars on it, just kind of a traction bar type deal,
Right.
just so I can kind of preload the right, because it wants to try to, when it leaves hard, it wants to kind of go to the
roll over.
right. So I take that traction bar over there on the right, and I actually smash it up against the frame to keep it from preloading so hard and pulling to the right.
Right.
And then the other side over here, I leave about an inch down.
Yeah, you don't want to be driving it too much. You just want to be steering it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
What about the front suspension?
Front suspension is it's really stock. The only thing that I've got on it is it's got drop spindles on the front, and it has 90-10 competition engineering shocks. It still has the original upper and lower control. Not even tubular, upper and lower factory control arms on it, which I do need to change those out. But I have done some really cool stuff on the steering. I bought a. There's a place out of, I can't remember where they're out of, called AutoFab, and they actually make a rack and pinion steering for this car's actual bolt-in deal, and it's a really cool setup. Comes with a full bar that comes across there. It was all completely bolt-in. Comes with all your knuckles and your steering bar and everything, and it's a really cool setup for a really good price.
Just a bolt-in application,
Pretty
basically.
much bolt-in application. Made a huge difference on the car, though, man. The car with the stock steering was really squirrely. I mean, you'd have to turn that thing almost 2 inches before the wheels started turning.
Right.
Yeah.
But now it's there. But
Right
the only thing that it did kill, though, is that it doesn't turn as sharp.
Right.
It doesn't turn as sharp like when you're turning in somewhere. It's just, man, it's just not there. Sometimes I have to pull in and back up, and
Yeah, we got that problem.
it kind of sucks too, because that Pro Tree trans brake, you have to kick it into neutral and then set the trans brake to get it to go in reverse. So then you're having to, once you hold that button in, it's in reverse. Then you have to try to steer with one hand. And
shit.
yeah, it's pretty tough.
I've heard of people actually putting a switch in their system somewhere. They could just flip the switch and make it hold reverse to do that, and then flip it back down.
That's a
Use
good
the button.
idea. Never thought about that. That's a good idea.
I've heard of people doing that.
All right.
That's a good idea.
Start wiring.
Yeah. yeah.
Let's get his
Yeah,
ass
listen,
on
I
it.
got all
Right?
kinds of wire over here. Let's get started.
Okay.
Install AC, we might think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we can wait till it gets cooler.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We can.
So what kind of future plans you got with this car?
I just kind of, I want to redo I want to put the upper and lower tubular control arms on it. Pretty much I want to leave it pretty much the way it is, because I want to be able to run it in the pure street and the true street classes at the track, you know,
Right.
and also street race it and have a still streetable car.
Well, I
Right.
noticed you were on the Clash of the Titans.
Yes, I'd race that back in the day. And I think when I run Clash of the Titans, I think it was, I think the class that I was in was I think it was called Super Street.
Super Street.
Yeah, I think it's what it was. And like I say, this thing back in like the late 90s had a 555 in it, which is that motor over there. And it's been an 892 at 153 with that motor out
Damn
there.
it, dude. That's
Yeah,
and
that's the fastest.
3,800
The 3860 with me in it.
Wow.
That's getting it for a
That's
heavy
getting it.
sled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
That's
run
getting
good,
it.
and it was a good street car, man. It run really good on the street.
What rear ends in it?
It's got a 12-bolt rear end with it's got 35 spline Mosier axles with a Strange full spool, and the gears are Richmond,
Yeah.
411,
Good combination.
and it's got that ultimate brace rear end kit on it
Oh, yeah.
with the tie rod ends that come off the side of it to keep it from twisting. And
Right.
I had some bolt-on ladder bars on this thing back in the day, and I broke them, and I didn't know they were actually broke. We actually had them welded on, and I kept going to the track. I went to the track like 3 times in a row and tore the ring. I kept tearing the ring teeth, the ring teeth off the rear end gear, and Fast Eddie had to replace them like 3 times, and we couldn't figure out. He gets up underneath there. He says, "Man, something ain't right. If you're ripping teeth off this ring gear, something's not right." We look up underneath there, and the brackets were broke on the ladder bars, and we didn't know. So every time it was leaving, it was twisting the rear end and then just tearing the teeth off the
Wow.
ring gear. So we placed 3 sets of gears for
Fast
found that out.
Eddie.
Yeah,
I bet he was pissed.
Oh, he was.
Motherfucker.
He said, he goes, "If you do it again," he goes, "I'm charging you next time." And I've known that dude since I was 12.
Yeah, when he used to bring the valve bender
Oh
out.
yeah, man! I used to race him in my drag bike.
I remember that bug.
That was a fast Volkswagen. They run 1030s. I remember when it run on nitrous. Then he's bringing it
Oh,
out on the
yeah.
street. Run 1160s then. It was fast.
Yeah, that son bitch would get it on.
That's hauling back
I'm
in the
like,
90s.
Yeah.
what the hell have you got a pink bug for? He goes, well, you don't just get beat by a bug, you get beat by a pink bug. I'm like,
I remember watching that thing at the track. Every time he grabbed a gear, it looked like a jackrabbit. It just jumped.
Oh man,
Yeah.
we went out one night out to 44th and no, it was 74th and Rockwell, and they took me down to the end to see who was going, see who would win, because there was nobody down there. So and Ed was racing somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they actually
Chevelle?
I was just down there at the end watching. I can't remember who he was racing. He was racing somebody, but he actually raced down through there. Well, on his way back, he picks me up. And I go to get in the car, because he was going to take me back down to the cars. And when I opened the door, there was no seat, and there was just a nitrous bottle. And he goes, "Man, get in here." And I go, "Man, there's no place to sit." He goes, "Just sit on that nitrous bottle." So I get in the car, and it's all aluminum in there. And I'm sitting on this nitrous bottle. I'm sitting there, and he goes, he said, grab hold of that oh shit handle on the dash. And I was like, "Why?" He goes, "I'm gonna give you a bottle ride." I was like, "Oh, dude, really, man?" I said, let's don't. He goes, "No, hang on." I was like, so I grabbed up there. Man, we went through 3 gears, and every time he hit a gear, I couldn't see the road. He was yanking wheelies. It scared me to death.
he did that shit to me too in his yellow flame bug.
Yep.
He caught second gear and we were on the fucking street heading to the shop. And I was like, I don't ride with him anymore. Fuck.
Yeah, he's pretty crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, he don't mess around, and that damn yellow bug's fast too.
And we'll be going to see him before too long too and show you some of his stuff. So.
Me and Wayne's been talking about having some old friends of his, get together and doing some racing, later on after we, talk to everybody and get a little history on their vehicles and themselves. What do you think about that? You feel like you might want a part of that?
Yeah, I think that's great. I miss kind of the old school racing on the street. It's been a long time since I've done that, but I think it would be a blast.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a
do too.
blast. I mean, it would be, I would love, to be honest with you, I've even called a bunch of friends of mine and kind of told them about kind of what, because I didn't really know a whole lot about what y'all had going on, but I've called a lot of the old school guys back in the day, and they're even fired up to get their cars going.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting.
We had a lot of fun, dude.
Yeah, we did.
A lot of late nights out on the street.
We've even got Kevin Smith fired up, and Kevin Smith, his Camaro, that thing. He's a legend on the street. I mean,
Yeah.
Kevin Smith is a
Me
legend
and
on
him
the
used to
street.
run against each other. He
Does
got
he-
a purple one, wasn't it?
No, that's Jeff.
Jeff,
Now,
that's right.
Jeff's ready to go. Jeff's car is ready to go. He's even talked about doing some stuff with us. He's been doing some testing. Now, Kevin's got the blue car with the
Right.
tubs, the big
Yeah.
tire car. He's even doing some updates on it.
They always had that little dog with them.
That's
Everywhere they
that's it. Him and Tina,
Yeah.
and they've actually got that car. He's actually working on that car and updating it to get it ready to come out and run on the streets. We've even got him fired up.
That'd be cool.
That's what I'm talking about.
Everybody likes to see the true street cars,
Yeah.
that stays true to street.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, no,
I miss
fake
the
shit.
true street cars. Not tube chassis cars and
Right.
pro mods, full fiberglass bodies. I mean, the only thing fiberglass on this car is the hood.
The hood.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yep.
Yep. I know we do a lot of the street racing. I know you do some no prep racing too at the
Yep.
track. Wayne personally don't like the no prep,
Right.
but a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I hear you got a little secret weapon you're putting together for that.
Yeah, I like the no prep stuff. It kind of gives the guy that doesn't have a ton of money a chance to win. But Wayne is right. It's dangerous. I mean, it's one of those deals that you go out there and if you make one mistake, you're gonna crash. You're not gonna. At the kind of speeds these guys are running nowadays, if you lose it down track, I don't care how good a driver you are, you're gonna smack the wall.
Right.
Well, I've always said that an unprepped track is worse than an unprepped street.
It is.
It's
That's
like
the
glass, and I've seen many a guy lose his car over
Yeah,
that.
it is. I mean, the only reason that I do it, I guess, it's just it kind of gives the guy that doesn't have $1 million a kind of a chance against the guy that does, to a
Right.
certain degree.
To a certain degree,
To
yeah.
a certain degree. I mean, if he's got money, he's going to have chassis work done. But the majority of those guys, they ended up having so much money and so much horsepower, they end up not getting them to hook.
Yeah,
They end up
Right.
spinning.
blow the chassis away.
Exactly.
Well, that's that common thing that people do, and one of the biggest mistakes is they put all that power into the motor and they have nothing for chassis.
Right.
And then they're, if you're pedaling, you ain't going anywhere.
That's the truth, and I'm building a pretty nasty '69 Camaro that I'm going to run some no prep stuff in and some true street stuff. And if it's fast enough, which I think it will be, but I might even run some of the small tire stuff. It should be pretty fast.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it. I don't even want to say what it would run because it'd be a guesstimate. It's just one of those deals. It might. I mean,
You
start
could say
changing,
one thing and then it don't run it and you're like,
exactly.
"Fuck."
I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm
Yeah.
just going to
'Cause
just
the clock
do it
don't
right.
lie, does it?
Exactly. I'm just going to
Clock
do it
don't
right
lie.
and have fun. What it runs is what it runs.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, thank you, sir.
Hey, no problem.
And we'll be getting together, and we'll talk about when we're all going to get together and do this racing thing.
Okay.
I've got a pretty good idea where we can do it, and it'll be safe. And
Okay. Hey, it sounds like a lot of fun, and I guarantee
gonna
I'll
be.
call some guys up and we'll have fun with this. Maybe we can get together and challenge some guys from some different areas.
Yeah,
Do it. Maybe we can get together one day when you go to
the
the-
old Demos's.
Yeah, maybe challenge them from Guthrie.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, just have some fun.
Y'all keep an eye out for the next episode. We'll be going to Terrell Rogers' shop, checking out his car, and having a sit-down chat with him.